I'm Dave from Revocation.
When you started out, did you have like ideas about the artwork or the visual approach to Revocation?
Oh yeah, 100%. I've always been pretty hands-on with sort of all of the elements of Revocation. I mean, even going back to our like Summon the Spawn demo, that was my idea. Like I had like this like cool idea for like this demon, like people summoning it and stuff like that. And to me, I love working with different artists because they can make these crazy images that we all have as metal fans like come to life. I mean, I have zero artistic ability, but I'm such like an art fan. Even like studying art history and things like that in college, or when I'm on tour, like I love to go to museums and feel like it sort of feeds my soul and my creativity. Art has always grabbed me, and especially like things that are more like macabre. Like, I mean, I remember being like a kid back when there was like Blockbusters and stuff like that, and I just like was this young kid like begging my mom to like rent horror movies for me because like the covers looked like so cool. So to me, like metal album art is kind of like a extension of like horror art sort of in general. And yeah, no, I've just always kind of been drawn to it. So I guess I have a lot of imagery kicking around in my head that I can kind of bring to an artist. Or sometimes I like to just bring them the lyrics and be like, hey, like what can you do from this? When I'm working with an artist, like I want them to do their thing too. Like if I'm contacting an artist to work with them, like I'm already like a big fan of theirs, so I don't want to micromanage their process at all. I'll certainly have ideas of things that I want, and then they can kind of take it from there. And oftentimes, like obviously, like I'm very pleasantly surprised with what they can do with my idea, and interject their own creativity to it and make it something that's like 10 times better than I could have ever even imagined, which is like that's like the real fun to me. But that's you have to work with good people and find the right artist that match your style. And
yeah, I guess with a guy like Paolo Girardi, was he on your list of someone you wanted to work with for a long time?
Yeah, he's got such a great style. He's just like this like death metal Renaissance painter or something like that. Like his color palette is super unique to him. Just like the images he puts together are I feel like very unique to him. And I remember seeing some of his stuff just like on Instagram and being like, holy shit, this guy is like totally out of his mind in like the best way possible. It's just like, I love those like really big kind of expanses where there'll be like all these different things happening, like a Hieronymus Bosch painting or something like that. I actually use Bosch as a reference for Netherheaven. But yeah, I mean, you look at one of his covers and like, there'll be like swarms of demons in this corner, and then there'll be just like, this crazy undulating organic bloody mess in the other corner, and there'll be just some random creature. Like there's just so much eye candy in his paintings. So like I love when I can get lost in a death metal cover, and just like the more you look at it, the more things you kind of like discover. So I love that element of certain artists, and certainly in his work I think that's like really prevalent. So with the Netherheaven concept, I knew I wanted to be sort of this depiction of like hell and this like kind of creepy demonic looking church kind of thing, and he added so many cool elements, even just like the color palette, like putting like the blue hues like in the kind of background to kind of break up the meaty hellish sort of reds and I guess ominous colors that he uses, like because I think his color palette is pretty like visceral and like aggressive. But it was funny, I hit him up, and you never know what you're gonna get. Sometimes with artists, sometimes they get back to you right away, sometimes they're super busy. But he got back to me like really quickly, and I asked him like, oh, like can I see a sketch? Because most artists do sketches, at least that I've worked with. And I'll never forget, he said, I don't do sketches, David. They burn my mental freshness and violence. And I'm like, that's fucking sick. yeah, for sure. So I'm like, you know what? I trust your process. And and he obviously delivered just an amazing cover that is just has his signature style all over it. And yeah, it was a real pleasure working with him. And I think doing the sort of hell theme concept record that Netherheaven is. Like, he just felt like such a good fit with that. And yeah, I think he captured the mood of the record really well. I sent him the lyrics, I sent him, you know, song titles and things like that. I don't know how he internalized all of that, but all I know is like I love what he came up with.
Yeah. You worked with Strom a lot.
Yeah.
On a couple albums.
Yeah. Tom's like one of my best buds. I've known him for years.
Cool.
Like, and he does all my tattoos, so.
Love the Outer Ones is a really cool cover.
Yeah.
That like giant monster.
Yep. Eating planets. Yep. You know, the Outer Ones is pretty much a Lovecraftian concept record. Overall, you know, it's sort of my ode to horror, sci-fi, Lovecraftian horror, and I always loved the concept of in Lovecraft's works where it's like it's this, you know, foreboding entity that is so, you know, horrific in its magnitude that like the human mind like can't even like fathom it. Like there's certain entities that Lovecraft describes that's like he doesn't even describe them. The only way he describes them are as like if you were to encounter this, you would lose your mind from the madness that would ensue from how horrifying this being is. So you can do a lot with that. Actually, he tattooed Azathoth on my leg, and that's sort of the entity that he describes in that manner. So I kind of wanted to bring a little bit of that into the cover, and so I wanted something like really grand and really just sort of massive in scale. Like I want it to be like an abomination. So Tom's like, all right, I'm on it. And he came back and he just sent me this like gnarly ass, like dripping creature. And then he had like the sketch of the planets and like the swirling, you know, cosmic drain. And I'm like, okay, yeah, now this is incredible. And then obviously like when I finally like saw the completed painting, I'm like, this is, as just like a death metal fan, I'm like, I'm so glad that this is our album cover because it's totally unique. Like to me, it's like I hope it goes down as like a classic metal album cover because I think it's like really like that good. And his color palette is so cool, like the way he like combines like these weird greens and purples and blues. It really had that cosmic feel to me. I was super thrilled with that, but I've been super thrilled with all of the stuff Tom has done. He's great because he again, he's one of those guys who truly has his own style, and you know, it fits perfectly in this sort of realm of death metal imagery, but he's not derivative at all. It really is his own signature voice like coming through, which I love, because that's what we try to do in our music. So working with artists that have their own, you know, signature voice is something that I love trying to pair that up. It's like Cannibal Corpse, you know? You can't think about Cannibal Corpse without thinking about Vincent Locke's artwork. They're just so intertwined. Yeah. And there's a reason they've used him, you know, time and time again. He's just like the perfect fit. So yeah, I mean, we've worked with Tom on several records. You know, Great As Our Sin, totally different color palette.
Yeah, they're all pretty different.
They're all
like,
very different.
Pretty diverse.
Oh yeah.
Unique style. It's like.
And he's another guy where he really like if I send him lyrics to stuff, he like really puts that imagery like in the artwork. Like the fold out of Great As Our Sin, there's nods to a bunch of different songs in there that are, you know, sort of symbolic in different ways and maybe overt in other ways. But just did a great job. And the Deathless cover, that was the first one that we did. And I just loved how that one came out. I think he really captured the dark mood of that record, and it was weird. It was like we like synced up on certain things. Like the very first song, it's called A Debt Ode to the Grave, and partially it's about my time working in a hospital when I worked transport, so part of my job was bringing the deceased to the morgue. So in a way, you know, I kind of drew a comparison to, you know, Charon and like the ferryman that takes you to the underworld and the coins in the eyes and all that stuff. But I didn't mention that to him. And on the tombstone of Deathless, he put a coin in the eye, but that was something that we didn't discuss, which was really like weird and kind of like almost like eerie. So me and Tom are just very synced up, you know, I think in terms of our tastes and just general kind of philosophies on art and stuff. And, you know, not only is he like a good bud, but you know, I just like feel like we both kind of like inspire each other with different things that we bring to the table. So it's nice to have that relationship.
What is a band that you felt growing up nailed the album covers.
I mean, I remember being a kid and seeing Butchered at Birth for the first time in, you know,
Catches your eye.
yeah, and then some. I was just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
This is the most brutal thing I've ever seen. Yeah, that one really caught my eye. I remember seeing Absu Terra for the first time. Like, that album cover, like, really caught my eye. It just had this, like, I don't know, just really unique look to it. And, you know, anything Dan Seagrave puts out is just, you know, incredible to me. So, like, you know, Morbid Angel album covers throughout the years, Suffocation album covers throughout the years, you know, Death.
I remember seeing it was spiritual healing.
Yeah.
What is
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
This-
But then when they started going that other route for human and symbolic, those were like totally unique too. Just like this weird abstract art kind of thing, and be like a page out of the Necronomicon or something like that. So I love that element. So I love art that makes me feel like a certain type of way and kind of, you know, confronts the viewer and makes you feel uneasy. I kind of live for that shit.
Are you writing a new record? Anything coming up? What's going on with you?
So my other band, Gargoyle, we're in the studio right now. So basically, just finished the drums, and then I basically went on this tour. So I'm looking forward to doing the guitars when I get back from that. You know, speaking of great artists, Mark McCoy did the cover art for the first Gargoyle record. So I'm looking forward to doing that because that's like a totally different project, totally different style band.
Yeah.
It'll be fun to kind of, once the material gets recorded, and to start to see which angle we're going to go with for art there. And I am writing for the next Revocation record. Very excited for people to hear that material. We don't have any dates set in stone yet in terms of the recording, but the demos are pretty fucking stoked on just from the rough demos alone.
Sick.
Yeah.
Cool. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
My pleasure.
Yeah.